Thanksgiving, and they've gotten a turkey, and her mom is trying to, cook the turkey and work with it, but it's...
Her mom also works in a department store, though, and she's trying to set her
She works with Black Friday, so she's really stressed out, and she's got a lot of work to do. And so when she tries to work on the turkey, it just ends up being a mess. So she says, you know what, let's make soup. So here, I'll say this quote. She says turkey soup is the best part of Thanksgiving anyway. He, meaning her dad, calls me into the kitchen an hour later with the fake enthusiasm of a father who has screwed up big time. Bones are heaped on the cutting board, a pot of glue boils on the stove, bits of gray, green, and yellow roll in the burping white paste. Dad, it's supposed to be soup. Me, she doesn't say anything. Dad, it tasted a bit watery, so I kept adding thickener. I put in some more corn and peas. Me, she doesn't say anything. Dad, pulling his wallet from his back pocket, call for pizza. I'll get rid of this. Which was really like, I don't like it. Because, it was something, and her mother pointed out how she cared about Thanksgiving because she thought it meant a lot. It was a family time.
The book said, Melinda says, her mom cares about Thanksgiving because it still symbolizes that she still has the relationship as a mother, as the matriarch of the household. Mm-hmm. She's still trying to uphold that position, and here it's been taken from her by pizza.
Yes, because especially with Black Friday, she didn't have that time she wanted, and so she trusted her loving husband to continue at least trying to make the soup. He does not try to continue or make something else. He simply just tells her to go order a pizza, which I hated. Just immediately.
They might not have had any other ingredients, though.
I mean, she could have made something else. I don't know. Make yourself some stuffing or something. I don't know. Anyway.
He had originally planned to. He had, asked Melinda to tear the bread for the stuffing.
Oh, and I forgot. I wanted to give the rating of the book at the beginning and the end. So right now, just real quick, what do you give it?
At the moment, I give it a 4.5.
So do I.
Or a 4 out of 5.
I give it a 4 to 5. Okay. Rising action. One of the things I said was the art. The art project continues. It continues throughout the entire story, but you kind of see it more in the rising action because she is constantly struggling. In the beginning, she tries to make a sculpture because that's what she wants to go with. And she keeps using so many of these blocks just to keep trying to do it over and over again. But she just cannot get it right. And she just keeps trying. She just can't get it. And it's more so in the rising action that I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there another thing you mentioned?
Rising action? Mm-hmm. Didn't I say your social life?
I think so. We can talk about the Marthas and Heather, because I think that was important.
We did already. We talked about them. But in her social life, we've already told you that. So all of her friends from the previous year have abandoned her because she called the cops on a party that they were all at.
Because see, now I'm forgetting what we did. So we tried to do this 2 times already, but my iPad turned off, and now I have no idea what we've said already, what we haven't in this one.
Okay, that's fine. But all of her friends kind of split into other different casts, and so they're all separate.
The stereotypical high school friend group.
High school stereotypes.
Yeah, all the jocks and the nerds and
And there's one girl in her art class named Ivy who is friendly with it. They're not friends; they're just acquaintances at the moment. Yeah. But Ivy kind of doesn't fit into a group. She kind of goes between two. And Ivy's a really cool character. Ivy's trying to overcome her fear of clowns. But Ivy accidentally colors Melinda's shirt. And so they go to the girls' bathroom to try and wash off the marker. And while they're in there, at this point, Melinda's already told Rachel, who is dating Andy Evans, Melinda has told Rachel to stay away from him because he's a bad dude. And so Rachel doesn't believe her, of course, and so Melinda kind of gives up. Until they go to the bathroom, and Ivy says to Melinda, "Melinda, come over here, look at this." And they see a list that's titled "Guys to Stay Away From." And Andy Evans is the only one on there.
Because Andy Evans is, quote unquote, it.
Yeah, he's it, and he's the only the only creep in the school. And there's a whole string of comments made by other girls, other different girls, and
which was important.
And they all say different things about what's happened. One girl recalled a date with him, and she said he tried something, and it did not work.
It's very important to see how all the other girls were commenting on it and saying that they had personal other experiences, because I feel like that they two were hiding, and it shows that like how the one person goes out, and then it
shows
just
that
like
Melinda's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Which
and it helps when other people like you're helping other people when you talk about stuff too.
And it most likely testifies to how she started coming out of her shell, how she started getting better throughout the book.
Okay.
But she saw she wasn't the only one, because it's proven, like, if there's a leader, people will follow, and if as long as someone's not the first person to start something, they will most likely do it. Say, for example, I threw a book off a building, and a bunch of other kids had like wanted to do it for a while now, but didn't want to be the first one.
The party, she goes with Rachel, which is her prior friend that she had.
Yeah, best friend before the party.
And she goes still as a very introverted person, just kind of tag along because, I have my friend, I'll go with my friend, I'll try
this
this out.
is like her first party, and she's in 8th grade.
Yeah. And
she's a naive little child.
So they get there, and there's a whole bunch of like the popular kids, and apparently
there's a bunch of high school kids as well.
Spiked the punch, and so now they're both drunk, and the character who was previously referred to as we find out is Andy Evans, who did he like take her to a different take her into a bedroom?
I think he took her outside.
Was it outside? Yeah, I think it was outside. Took
Under
her
a tree.
outside. Yeah. And so
he sexually assaulted her.
And so she ended up getting freaked out because she couldn't fight back. She couldn't do anything.
She was too drunk to do anything. She was like paralyzed. Her limbs were
couldn't
too heavy.
move, and she couldn't do anything. And so she ends up running inside away from him because he's like, "Oh no, you want this to happen." And so he walks away. He walks away, I think, and then she runs inside. She grabs the phone. She calls the cops on the party, which is what causes everyone to later hate her because they think, she's stuck up, and she's like, "No, we got to do the right thing. We got to call the cops," and they think that she hates everyone else, basically, which leads her to hide the secret because she doesn't want more people yelling at her.
More witch hunters after her.
So the party it's a big thing. So she hides that what Andy Evans did, especially. It was important, like when she tries to tell Rachel that this happened and Rachel doesn't believe her. I think
it causes her to retreat further.
Yeah, because she finally got to the point where she's like, okay, I'll tell somebody, but then being shown that that's not going to work and they're not going to believe her is just making her even less likely to want to do it. And then another thing I have for the climax was the mall scene. The scene where she skips class and she goes to the mall and she's just walking around. Do you remember that scene?
Sure not.
Well, the reason I added this is because I thought it was a big point of her realizing how bad her mental health had gotten to. So she skips school. I can't remember. She was just sick of school. Like, she talks repeatedly about the repetition. I think one of the quotes was something along the lines of, I woke up at this time 4 days in a row. I went to school 4 days in a row. I went to the bus 4 days in a row. I went home at this time 4 days in a row. I did homework 4 days in a row. And it's making her go crazy. So she goes and she takes a quote-unquote mental health day. She skips school. She goes to the local mall and
acting like everything is fine is finally even better.
And she just sits on a bench. She doesn't go shopping or anything. She just sits on a bench and she thinks about what's been going on, which is helping her cope because she needs to think about it.
Instead of run away from it.
Which, I don't know, the mall scene just sticks out a lot to me.
There's also the scene where Heather comes over and Melinda tells her no. So, this is after Melinda's finally starting to